Welcome to The Big Break Show, a podcast where we discuss short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, life, mindset, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Rafa and Jesse Vasquez.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of The Big Break Show. I'm here with my co-host, Jesse, the man, the myth, the legend,
Hello.
Vasquez. What's up, buddy? Man, you
What's up,
ruined
man?
my good intro. I was on a roll there. Nah, I'm just kidding. What's good, man? How you doing today?
Good, man. I'm super pumped about today's episode, man. We have Candace Charee, who is an innovative manifestation coach and a teacher. So for all those of you who are out there looking to change your 2022, have some new insights and ideas, it all comes with manifestation. You got to think and feel what's coming. So I'm stoked about having her on, man.
Man, I got to tell you, after speaking with her, blown away, super, super impressed. I'm super excited for everybody to listen to this episode because it was good. It's crazy. After speaking with her, like everything we've been doing, like I've been doing this stuff forever. I just never knew what it was. And she kind of put it into perspective. I'm diving deep into this, man. This was awesome.
Yeah,
So,
it really is. I think it's something we all do in a weird way, but I'm stoked about it, man. I can't wait for you guys all to listen to this.
cool. Yeah. Well, without further ado, guys, hope you enjoy the show. And here's Candace.
I'm super pumped about having Candace on today. This is Candace, I manifested this. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think I even told you that when I emailed you. I was like, I want to have her on. She's probably a big shot now. Doesn't want to deal with this because she was on the Brad Lee show, everybody. Brad Lee show. When was that? And do you know what episode it was by any chance?
What episode? I think it was 344 or
344.
You know what? I was listening to it. Let me pull it up. I know I have it somewhere.
Yeah. So she was on that. Bradley has a big podcast, and I actually just heard that you were on that a couple of days ago, but I actually found you on TikTok. So I'm huge on laws of attraction. I'm really excited to have you on. I've been reading Wayne Dyer's book, The Ask and It's All Given. So I want to talk to you about Wayne Dyer. I want to talk to you about Neville. I want to talk to you about all kinds of things that have to do with manifestation. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what I've manifested in my life, but I want you to be able to explain who you are, Miss Candace Charee, how you came about this, how you started manifesting, maybe give us some of your childhood, where you grew up, and talk to us about, because our team are the people that they're usually real estate investors. So I'm excited to bring you into this world and have them talk. Also business, how the business side of things and how you can connect that way through manifestation is real.
Yeah.
So you have your own podcast, you have your own training process that you do. That people can pay to learn how to do these things, manifestation. If you're in the business world, there's a lot of stuff that Candace can help you with. So let's dive into that. Candace, can you talk to us about who you are and what you do?
Yes, thank you. It's so funny that, you're like a real estate background. I also have a background a little bit in real estate. I got my license in 2019, my mortgage license. I was working for a company doing wholesale lending or lending for wholesalers. So
Awesome.
I have a background in wholesale. Like I know all about it. So I think this is like kismet here. So
yeah, I think exciting. So.
Yeah.
Find us some deals, Candace. Manifest some deals and shoot them over to us. Or actually, we need to manifest those and put the action in. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I grew up in Arizona, born and raised here, lived here my whole life, except for a small bout of time I lived in Nashville when I was wanting to be a famous country singer. That was like, I grew up always wanting to be a singer. It's been in my blood. Music is in my blood. Entertainment in general is like my thing. And that didn't work out, not because it didn't work out, but because I moved home to be closer to my mom, who was sick at the time. She's better and she's fine now. But I ended up learning about law of attraction when I was, I think, 15 years old. My mom gave me this book called Being Happy and by Andrew Matthews. And it talked about the law of attraction, basically. It was kind of law of attraction for beginners. And I loved it. I thought, wow, this is so amazing. We can create things. And, it was very fun. And then I got very deep into self-help and reading as much as I could about psychology. And my stepdad is a doctor of psychotherapy as well. He has a PhD in marriage and family therapy. He's had a practice for a million years. So being a coach has kind of always been in my blood. People have always come to me. I've always the friend that they're like, hey, give me advice, help me out. And I loved it. I loved being able to help people. And I soon learned, a little bit more about it when I read Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, which I highly recommend for people who are wanting to start their journey of healing kind of inner child stuff. I ended up getting married when, what was it? 2013 to someone really quickly. It was something that I was not ready for. And the relationship.
Shotgun wedding, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The relationship ended up turning abusive after about 4 years. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I've had enough. I had 2 kids with him. And I left the marriage, moved into my mom's guest house, had no money, didn't even have my car. He was keeping my car. I had all the debt. He got the business that I helped start. Literally everything. I had to start over from scratch and had to rebuild my life, with 3 children and 2 very little ones and no money to my name. And I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? And so I had to figure that part out. And it was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be. I've always been a person who never gives up on herself and who's like, I'm going to figure out how to make money no matter what. And so, I manifested random bits of money here and there to pay my bills and to take care of my kids as much as I could. I wasn't really even getting child support. So it was really all on me. And it wasn't until someone introduced me to Neville Goddard, the father of the law of assumption, which is different than law of attraction, and I could talk about that I finally was like, wow, I get it. I get why the law of attraction always felt like something was missing from it. It never took me past a certain point in my life. Like, I was able to have great success in the music industry in 2010, but it only took me so far. Same thing in the film and television industry. I also write and produce film and television. But it only took me so far because I didn't understand the full aspects of creation and being the creator of your reality. So when I found Neville and I started studying, it was just like the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I met my now husband, and we had a very on again, off again relationship because I had a lot of things that I needed to heal, that I needed to go and change about myself, so that I stopped pushing him away, and my unconsciously pushing him away because I needed space. And my higher self was like, girl, you need to heal. You need to fix this stuff. You need to work on this. Right. And so we kept breaking up, but it wasn't because we didn't love each other. It was because there were so many things that I needed to process and fix and work on within myself. And I had created all these big assumptions between us that prevented us from having the relationship that we both deserved with each other. So 2019, December of 2019, I met this woman who had a group that she found me through a Neville Goddard group. We became friends. I was like, you need to do this as a business. She was kind of a coach. And I'm like, I'm a businesswoman. I've always been an entrepreneur. I know how to make money. Let me help you. So we kind of started off like that. We brought another person in. We ended up having a difference of philosophy. I was more true to Neville, and she was kind of in another realm with her teachings. So we parted ways. I took over the company and renamed it, my own version of it, renamed it Effortless Manifesting in April of 2020. And I started by myself at that time, and just during COVID, at the height of COVID, mind you, and built this beautiful business that I have now. And looking back, I never would have imagined it would be what it is today. Obviously I did imagine it because it's here, but I never, like, consciously, I didn't think of it like this. I thought, okay, if I could just make this much every month, I'm good. I could take care of my kids, Right. And so understanding these principles, understanding these philosophies and techniques and things has allowed me to be a master at manifesting within my own life, and to teach others how to do it, and to help them heal, and, creating my own healing method and all of that stuff. So I'll let you ask some more, because I don't want to like jump through and just take over.
I got to tell you, that's a pretty like amazing story, because I have a couple questions based on that, right? Number one, actually 2 things. So what is the law of attraction? Like, what is it? What is it actually like? What is it, right? I want the listeners to know, like, what's the law of attraction? And number two, who's Neville Goddard?
I think what I should do is explain the difference between law of attraction and law of assumption, because for most people, they might know a little bit what law of attraction is from The Secret, but let's explain the difference, because law of attraction is very much the universe will give it to you if it believes you're deserving of it, or you're worthy of it, or if it's right for you. All of your thoughts create. Be super careful with what you're thinking, or you're going to be in trouble and you're going to have bad karma and like all of this stuff. So it's still very limiting. For me, it was so limiting because it didn't allow me to just realize that, wait, no, I'm the creator. Law of assumption was something that Neville brought to light. Neville has been passed now since like the 70s. But he was like a mystic, or they call him a mystic, but he's just an amazing teacher from back in the day. So the law of assumption is everything you assume long enough hardens into fact. Basically, all of your whole existence is based on assumptions, and your assumptions will, if persisted in, become your reality. They become your belief system. And you could take one person, put them in a room and say, hey, who's John? Well, 10 people can tell you who John is, but 10 people are going to give you 10 different reasons or ideas of who John is, because everyone shows up for you based on their assumption of you. And you see people based on your assumption of them. And most of it is unconscious assumptions and unconscious beliefs from childhood. So, I have an assumption maybe that it's difficult for me to, manifest a car. Like, if that's an assumption that I have. I don't have that. But if I did, I have an assumption that it's difficult for me and I'm never going to be able to get a car. My credit sucks. It's never going to happen for me. That is an unconscious belief or assumption about myself. When you shift your assumption, when you persist in new assumptions, everything around you conforms to make that true for you when you persist in it. It's just how it is. I've tested it a million times in my life. And I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Go test it yourself. Test the law of assumption yourself so you can see how it will harvest and manifest in your life. So there is no if it's meant to be for you. It's if you believe it's right, it's right. If you believe it's coming for you, it's coming for you. I don't believe in what's meant to be. There's sort of an element to that, but it's more of what's my core belief. If my core belief is that this person that I want in my life is going to be toxic for me, they're never going to work out for me. And if my core is I don't want people that have these, kind of standards in their life around me, my core will repel them. But if I change my assumptions about that person and say, actually, this person is wonderful, loving, and kind, like I did in my relationship, they conform to my new belief of them.
I absolutely love that. And really quick, something comes to mind when I'm talking about this, and it might be a dumb comparison here, and please stop me if it is.
No,
but there's this movie that I watched a couple of years ago with, what's that girl, the Marvel, the Black Widow girl? She made a movie a couple of years ago where she takes these pills, and it's obviously not pill related at all. But the point of the movie is that she can make things happen around her life based on what she thinks on her mind.
Mm-hmm. I think I know what you're talking about with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. That's what I'm talking about. And so,
I remember that.
And it goes down to, and I only bring it up because it just reminded me of the movie. And I remember when I watched the movie thinking, man, if I actually can make things happen when I believe that it should happen or how it should go, my life would be completely different. It would be what I want it to be, not what other people think it should be, or how other people around me believe it should be. Right? Am I in the right track here when I say something like that? Where
100%.
The law of assumption is me assuming that things got to be how I want them to be, right? Kind of like a mindset shift, sort of. Am I right here?
Yes, 100%. You're right.
And I love that. That's cool.
Yeah, it puts all the power back into your reality. Go ahead.
I think, Candace, for me, is that a lot of people will sometimes be like, I want to make $1 million, but they're not actually like putting the work in. You can't just like assume that you're going to make $1 million. You have to like do incremental things on a daily basis to get there. And I think that's, for a lot of people that law of attraction, they don't understand that in a sense, because like, oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to, I want to make $1 million, or I want to have, just like you mentioned, a car. You have to put in the work. You have to assume it, you believe it, right? And then all of a sudden these things will start happening, but it almost like opens a door for you to see specific things in a certain way, almost like time slows down for you in that specific situation. Is that something that kind of makes sense to you? Or
Yeah,
you know?
and that's a that's like a good statement. And really, how I look at manifesting things that seem ginormous is you go to the very end. So let's say I want to make $1 million a year, which is a goal of mine, and it's a more of a recent goal. All sorts of events and circumstances will come into my life to take me to the next step. It will be a natural process. I probably am not going to wake up and have Publishing Clearinghouse on my door saying, you want $1 million. It's probably not going to happen that way for me. It's going to happen in a natural way. And manifestation usually is a natural process where your brain brings it to you. So you almost go, wait, that was a coincidence. It would have happened anyway. But really, it's not a coincidence. There are no coincidences. Everything is predestined within your own imagination. So the work really isn't like grinding, working 40 hours a day. It's putting yourself in the mindset of this is already done for me. What do I want to accomplish? Looking at it on paper and seeing, okay, this, and this is, and then believing and feeling that it's already done. And then as the things come to you, you take the inspired action to make that happen. Like you inviting me on this podcast is inspired action. I could have said no, but absolutely I said, yes, I feel this is going to be beneficial for me and beneficial for you. It's an equal exchange, and it's one step closer to getting me where I want to be and you getting you where you want to be. So it's always about mutual exchange is how I look at it. How is this going to benefit me and how is this going to benefit the person that is involved in the situation? But it's really not about overworking yourself and thinking, if I don't put in this, it's not going to happen, because it will still happen for you. Even if your effort is maybe 50% of someone else's, but their mindset sucks. They're grinding away, they're killing it, they're working so hard, but their mindset isn't there. They're not going to create it the way that you would, working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I love how you talk about that. That makes complete sense. I'm gonna take this back real quick and talk to you about something that happened to me. And Rafa, I think I talked to you about this a while ago. So I'm in real estate, right?
Mhm.
I deal with Airbnbs. I'm sure you're familiar with Airbnb,
Yeah.
right? Hopefully you are.
Yes. Yes, I
So
am.
I manage property. So there was a house that I was buying, ended up falling through, and there was this beautiful mid-century home that I loved. And I actually went and knocked on that door to try to see if I can somehow buy that property from that person or rent it or something like that. And I would actually drive by that house like randomly. All of a sudden, like 3 months later, this lady calls me. It sends me an email, and she's like, "Hey, I have a mid-century property. It's over in Modesto area. Blah 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 blah." Doesn't give me any information. Instantly, I knew that was the house that I drove by, that I knocked on, that I've been thinking about. She
Wow.
was in San Diego, happened to buy this random house because it was beautiful and it had architecture, it's architecturally sound as far as the mid-century things go. And I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about this right now because it's so crazy how if you start thinking about stuff enough and you actually see yourself doing that, and I think
Yeah.
that's where people get lost. Like, what are the chances of this random ass house in Modesto where this lady emails me that she bought it and she wants to put it on Airbnb? I drove by there, I knocked on the door, and then all of a sudden I get that. And that's like literally me thinking about, and you brought this up a second ago. I still have goosebumps, by the way.
I love it.
I thought about this already at the end, like what it would feel like to have that property because it's going to fit into my portfolio. It was like perfect how
Yeah.
it works. So I already thought about what that end result was like, what that was coming into my portfolio, what that was like as having that property. And I think that a lot of times some people don't actually think, feel, and understand what it's like. We talk about those things on
Yeah.
a regular basis, but I think that's part of the success of like manifestation is actually feeling what it's like to be sitting in that, that Maserati or that whatever it is that you want to have at some point, actually feeling what that feels like, having $1 million, what it feels like to wake up in the morning to have that.
Yeah.
But in my sense, we're already winning when we wake up. We're alive. Like, the chances of being alive are 400 trillion to 1. Like Gary Vee says that. Like
Yeah.
I fucking love that. Like I'm a
Me
big Gary
too.
Vee.
Me
I'm a big
too.
Gary Vee fan. And I heard you talk about that on Brad's podcast. So
Yeah.
I like that he brings a lot of the, the empathy and all that type of stuff to reality. And a lot of times, because people don't think about those things on a regular basis.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But just for me, that story alone is like, I truly believe in manifesting something. I mean, the chances of me getting somebody to message me on, for her properties is insane. So like for me,
Yeah.
that's something that I feel this is 100% correct, and real. And I think a lot of times, like, you know, and this is something I want to ask you, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people think? Like, do they think you're like some kind of like bruja master, or like a witch or something? Is that something that you've heard before in the past? Like, when it comes to manifestation, can you kind of give us some misconceptions that people will bring up to you?
Yeah, first I want to address the story you told me. That's an amazing story, and I've heard so many stories like that from people who have created something out of nothing, and it was not a coincidence. You absolutely attracted that. You
I
created
believe it.
that. So that was all you and your imagination, 100%. And you can do it again and again and again. If you can do it one time, you can do it a million times. So amazing job. Some of the misconceptions that I hear, I don't hear that I'm like a witch or anything like that. I will hear sometimes people saying that you can't manifest a specific person. So most people come to me to help them manifest a relationship. That's what
Yeah, I
my
was gonna ask you about
expertise
that.
is.
So
Yeah,
that's basically where most of your you know, the people, what do you call them? Do you call them clients? Is that what you
clients.
call
Yeah,
them? Clients. Okay,
yeah.
cool. So most of your clients come to you because of something that happened to them you know, as a child, or they're dealing with things where they want to maybe manifest like a relationship to come into their lives, things of that nature, right? Can you tell us like what your basic client is like, and then also what we're talking about, the misconceptions, so kind of intertwine those if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'd say 85, 90% of my clients are trying to manifest a relationship. The
Mhm.
other 10% is kind of random business or money or, just overall healing in their life. So
Right.
they'll come to me to help them heal their past, heal their limiting beliefs, and then allowing space in their person, their individual person, them, to then create their ideal relationship with somebody that they want. So it's usually a person that is either an ex or someone that they're trying to manifest to them, that they know they've had interactions with or slight relationship with, but it didn't really go where they wanted it to go. So those are the kind of people that come to me. Now, I do have some business clients as well who come to me to manifest, their ideal business and help them help them make the right, decisions in their life, heal their limiting beliefs around success and money and what it's supposed to look like. Because almost everybody has limiting beliefs around money. Almost
Right.
everybody,
Oh yeah.
growing
Yeah,
up
that's
hearing
huge.
your parents say that crap, like money doesn't grow on trees and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or money's the devil. My family
money's
used
the
to say that.
I
devil.
gotta, I gotta ask you a question really quick in regards to this, because how does it look like, the difference between helping someone manifest to fix maybe a broken relationship, or going to the law of assumption, assuming that you can mend that broken relationship, in difference to a business perspective of, I want to manifest that. One of my biggest dreams, and we talked about this quite often, is I want to own. It's not that I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, right?
Yeah.
But my big thing is, I want to have this gigantic house on the beach with the forest around me. How does it look in a difference for somebody, where if I want to manifest something professional wise, or like a want over a relationship? Does that make
So
sense? Like business and
yeah,
relationship type of.
it's kind of the same thing. So
Okay.
what I would tell you is, let's see if there's anything, like if you were my client, first I would ask you, what are your desires? What are your goals? What are you trying to create? Okay, awesome. What do you feel is holding you back? Okay, well, maybe this. Tell me about your childhood. What happened in childhood? What were your your parents' beliefs around money, success? Did they ever tell you that you need to just get a 9 to 5? Did they ever say that, go to college and that's the way? Like, what are the beliefs that were instilled in you as a child about your career, success, money, anything like that, limiting beliefs? And then we would reprogram those limiting beliefs, that whatever they were, so that your imagination can now create so much more effortlessly. It's not trying to cloud through these beliefs that you're battling with like all the time. So then once the beliefs are recreated that money does grow on trees, it is effortless for me to have what I want. I can totally do this. When you do then visualize under meditation, which I recommend everyone visualize under meditation, see your ideal reality. So for you, you need to see what that house looks like in your mind. Okay, it's on the water. It's looks like how many bedrooms. It has these kind of ceilings. If you know, the more detailed you get, the better. It's no problem if you don't have perfect detail, but you know, that's my house. This is what I want. It needs to be in a forest. Okay, you live there. You put yourself there. You walk yourself through your house. You feel it so real until your body has a physical reaction like a, yes, it's done. It feels good. You have this relief that it has been created for you, that it's already done. And then every night before you fall asleep in your new house, in your imagination, because what you take into your subconscious mind before sleep is creating for you. So it's very important to go to sleep in a good mood, revising your day to your ideal life, and seeing exactly what you want as you fall asleep. So I would tell you, fall asleep in that house every single night. And then a circumstance will come into your life to create that for you. Just like he was saying about the house, that lady calling and saying, here's this house that you've been wanting.
Man, I love it. You know, what I was going to say when I didn't mean to interrupt, but
that's okay.
I actually have it written down. We were just the last episode, we talked about goal setting, and I actually have it written down. I think I wrote it down like 2 years ago or something, before I even started doing like short-term rentals and everything. Yeah. It's written down exactly how I want it. Okay. The house overlooking the ocean with the trees around me, with the big garage door in the living room and open space. Like, it's crazy that you said that, right? I truly believe it's going to happen without question. And Jesse, if you don't mind, I want to ask one more question here too, Candace, if you don't mind as well, because I know Jesse wants to ask a bunch of stuff here. Go ahead. I have one thought here. How does this affect, you know, how you heard about how the five closest people around you affect the outcome of your life? Mm-hmm. Well, how does this go in hand with that? Where can we manifest or assume that these people will help bring me up, or do I have to change my entire circle of friends type of situation? Does that make sense?
Yes. So that's a great question. What you want to do is, the more that you assume that you have everything that you want, the more you focus on your self-concept. And your self-concept is, I am this, I am that. Whatever the I am is in front of what you say you are, that is your self-concept. Like, I am a manifestation coach, I am a mother, I am a da-da-da. But you could also be like, I am lazy, I am struggling with this, I am a procrastinator. That's also a self-concept. So when you change your self-concept to, I am the #1 real estate, whatever, da-da-da, in the world, I am always having the most incredible supportive friends, I am always an inspiration to others, I am always yada yada. It starts with you, always. Then everyone in your circle will conform to your new belief, and they will do things to support how you feel about yourself. If you're having a low self-concept, you'll start to see friends that drag you down, that support your low self-concept. So the more that you focus on your self-concept, the others around you will change and transform. And I've seen it in my own life a million times with people, maybe not a million, but a lot, where I'm changing my self-concept, and people in my life that I would have formerly been like, ugh, it's just, you're too negative for me. They stopped being negative. They started being supportive. They started being okay with what I'm doing. And now they're like my #1 fan in everything that I'm doing in my life. So it always starts with you.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah,
that's really cool. And, you know, I think too, when you start thinking like that, you start to realize, and this is something that you talk about that I've watched in your TikTok videos, or your Instagram stuff. The way you change your mind, like, you'll start thinking about them differently. Like, you'll kind of think about them in the context of, this is who they are, and you change your perception of how you think about them. It's like, I have a friend, one of my best friends of all time. Him and I he would just stop talking to me for like a year at a time, randomly out of nowhere. We'd be like buddies all of a sudden, and then he would just disappear for like a year. And we live in the same city, which is weird. But I closed him off because it was bringing off negativity to me. Then all of a sudden I started thinking, like, maybe this is just how he is. There's, you know, certain things that he might necessarily be going through. So that's something that, you know, as I talk to you, you know, you have these negative people in your life. Like, how do you change that thought process on them? How do you think differently when it comes to somebody of that nature? How do you, you know, put yourself in the mindset that maybe this is how a trauma that they had as a child, and it's being, you know, I'm perceiving it in a different way as a negative, but it's actually them exposing how they actually truly feel about themselves in a way, and changing that concept of belief. So can you kind of shed some light on that a little bit?
Yeah, this is the beauty of the law of assumption and recreating people. So I actually have a meditation that I created, a guided meditation to help you recreate someone and yourself in your life. All you have to do if someone is not showing up how you desire is to see them differently. You need to see them in their ideal state. At one point, they did something to create a new assumption about them for you. They may have done something like didn't call you for a week, and you're like, what the heck? This guy's being a jerk. Like, he's totally abandoning me, or whatever. And we could go further and deeper and see what had happened in your younger years to create a relationship like this. But that's another story. So, but I would see your friend, remove him from all the condemnation that's on him right now. The condemnation that you have placed on him unconsciously and maybe consciously is he's flaky. He just takes off. He's not fully available for me. He's not always there. He's very hot and cold with me. And this is something I help people do with their relationships, like the romantic relationships too, but it works with friends and family. So you need to start saying, my best friend is always there for me. My best friend is so loyal, so dedicated, so devoted to me, and is always making me a priority in his life. And when you do that, you're looking at him with love and you're removing any judgment. Even if the judgment was like, well, that's just how he is. But it's not. It's not how he is. You can change who he is. You can change how he's showing up for you based on how you're assuming him. So you shift that and you start saying, he's wonderful to me. He's always there. He's my best friend in the whole world. We talk every single day. He's my ride or die, whatever. You will see him transform and all of the sudden start calling you more and making trips to hang out with you or whatever the situation is. And you don't have to do a dang thing, but just start changing how you view him.
Man, I'm loving this conversation. Candace, you're like, wow. Okay, listen, just about a month ago, everything's just kind of falling into place right now. It's crazy. I was having a conversation with a really close person of mine. I don't want to say it like who it is, right? But and we were talking about another person, and we're like, man, this guy is just it's bringing us down. Like we're just like bad negative energy about it. And I stopped and I was like, you know what, man? I go, we got to stop because now our perception of this person is that they're just this bad person.
Yep.
And I was like, and from now on, I don't want to hear about this other name unless it's a positive, good thing. I didn't know I was doing this.
Yep, you were doing it already.
And I kid you not. We ran into the person like a couple days ago, fast forward, and it was a great time, great conversation, fun. And I was like, I didn't put two and two together literally till just now. And I'm like, mind blown. Wow, crazy, man. Awesome.
You reassumed that person. When we don't entertain low self-concept of others, we don't have to see negative people in our life. We don't have to be surrounding ourselves with bad vibes or bad people. It's your choice who you get to have in your life and how you have them. You don't have to eliminate people just because that's how they've been showing up. It's your choice. It's all on you. You're always the one who's responsible for your reality. And that's sometimes the hard part for people to hear is because we want to be a victim. And prior to being a conscious creator, you were a victim to your circumstance. You were a victim to what was happening to you in childhood. And then everything that happened in childhood was just constantly regurgitating itself in different forms. So, but once you become a conscious creator, you have a responsibility to say, enough is enough. I'm in charge. I'm not going to allow my circumstances to control my life anymore. I'm not going to blame you for being the way that you are. I'm going to change how I perceive you so that you can show up in a lovely way.
That's so awesome. That is so cool. So I actually have a piggyback question off that. So we're talking about reprogramming. So can you explain neurocognitive reprogramming and what a breakdown, what that actually looks like? And maybe even like a scientific portion of that. I know maybe you can even kind of break down what who Neville is in that aspect. Am I saying it's Neville? Neville, not Neville. Yeah. Neville is the dude from Twitter who's fantastic. Do you know who that is? Oh my gosh, I'll have to send you some stuff afterwards. This guy has his thoughts are fantastic. But anyway, can you break that down? What neurocognitive reprogramming is and what that looks like? I mean, that's basically what we're doing in the essence of what we're talking about right now, right? It's just the fancy word put behind it.
Kind of. So neurocognitive reprogramming is a term that my husband and I created actually based on Neville Goddard's technique called revision. Revision is the art of going back in time to your childhood memories or a past memory or anything that even happened 5 minutes ago and seeing it differently, reversing it and telling the mind, actually what happened was X, Y, Z, not what we remember. because the subconscious mind is very fun. It only knows what you tell it. It's not a very intelligent brain. The conscious mind isn't the intelligent mind. It's that it knows right from wrong. It understands if you're lying, if you're not. The unconscious mind is just a program. It's just Microsoft Word. So as you have these beliefs that you've been, raised with, I always have people go back in time, see their limiting belief, whatever it was. Like, if let's say we're going to reprogram your dad was abusive. Okay, we need to see dad differently, because since dad was abusive, you're having all these abusive relationships in your life. You're seeing all these things that are creating over and over again, and you're just so frustrated because you can't have healthy relationships. So consciously you might be like, oh, I forgave my dad, I'm over it. But unconsciously you haven't, because the memory is still there. So we go back in time, we change the memory under meditation and rewrite the whole story. So you now believe dad is wonderful and kind and loving. So your relationships are improved and you're no longer holding this pain and trauma anymore. And excuse me. And that happens very quickly. People who work with me have been going to therapy for 20 years or doing all sorts of different treatments like EMDR, other kinds of shadow work and stuff. And one session, they're like, I cannot believe how amazing I feel. I've been suffering with this for so long and I didn't even realize it. So it's fast, it's effective, it's permanent, as long as you do the post homework that I tell people to do. And they no longer have to suffer with these old unconscious beliefs, because their brain has now been rewritten. It's been overwritten and overridden to say, oh, actually, dad was great. So now I don't need to attract crappy relationships anymore to force you to go back and change the past. So
I get it, because that's typically what we do as humans. We will recreate certain scenarios. Like I have friends that were like, or even myself at one point was in relationships, and it was like I was with somebody, then all of a sudden we broke up, and it was like it was an unhealthy relationship, and then I would be in that same relationship again. And like I've heard a lot of people say that too. They're like, I just keep attracting the same type of person.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just the energy you're attracting. That was how I thought before. But in reality, it's like you unconsciously trying to solve a problem from childhood or whatever it is that's what you keep attracting away, because you're trying to fill whatever that is. Am I right on that assumption?
So I think of triggers kind of like a check engine light on your car. It goes off, you see it, and you're like, oh, there's a code. You can go have the code read and it says you need to change your O2 sensor. Well, I don't have time for that. So I'm going to clear this code and I'm going to keep driving my car. And you keep driving your car, and then a month later it goes back on, or a week later, or however long. You keep seeing it. You keep clearing the code. You keep seeing it. You keep clearing the code. That's what we're doing with trauma. The trigger is your old trauma, your old limiting belief. It doesn't have to be anything crazy too. It could just be a limiting belief about your life from growing up.
Subconscious. It's like you're not actually fully aware of it.
Exactly. So once you go back and you actually repair the O2 sensor, or reverse the memory and change the memory and change how you view your person that you're recreating, like your dad or whoever, the code no longer shows up. The trigger is done. There's no reason for it to continue to show up in your life, because it's been rewritten. It's been changed. It's been replaced with something wonderful. So triggers are always a blessing for me. If I have a trigger, it's like, oh, there's something I didn't realize needed some addressing. I'm going to go and repair that. I'm going to go take care of that.
Yeah. So what's a cute, like how would somebody repair something like that? What is that? If we're thinking about, you're talking about a check engine light coming on. Like for me, I remember that happening to my cars all the time. I would just go unplug the battery for 10 seconds and then plug it back in. And that's literally what I do. I'd be like, cool, I'm going to sell this car. I'm going to go unplug the battery. They're not going to see the check engine light. That was the former me. Now I would be like, hey man, my check engine light's on. You need to make sure you take a look. Maybe. But so like, how would somebody go in and actually do that? Like what kind of, and like we're talking about you dealing with this with individuals and your clients now, like what is something that you would talk about? How do they revisit? How would they understand that?
So are you asking would you do it on your own if you didn't have someone helping you?
Right. Well, not only that, because there's that, but also like how would somebody be able to, how basically what you just said that I'm thinking about, how would they be able to fix that? Or how would somebody not be aware of this and all of a sudden now through this conversation, this podcast, have some light shed on it, just like Rafa did here in a second. He's like, oh, I've already been kind of doing that.
I guess actually, Candace, can they do it on their own, or would you suggest they have someone to help them?
I mean, it's kind of like getting your own hair, cutting your own hair, or having somebody cut your hair for you.
I did it during COVID.
Yeah, you can do it. I can cut my own hair. It might
It
not look
looks
as
like he's
good.
still cutting his own hair. Look at him. Just
I
kidding,
actually
Jesse.
am. Thanks, man.
But unless you're a professional, so
Yeah.
yes, you can do it on your own. And first I would tell you to study the technique from Neville Goddard, revision. Study his work you can get his books on Amazon. You can even watch them, or on YouTube or whatever. You can listen to them. But what you would need to do is you need to be in a meditative state. So you need to be tapping into your unconscious mind. Don't do it when you're consciously aware. It's not really going to do as much, because there's this layer that your conscious mind's like, I don't think so, buddy. So you want to get into your unconscious mind,
Through
be in a
meditation.
relaxed, meditative state, the state akin to sleep, and see the old memory. So come up with a memory with you and your dad. Let's say you saw dad was abusive, whatever. You take yourself back in time to that memory. You see your younger self experience it. Then you're there. I only take people there for 30 seconds. So you're not feeling a bunch of pain. Take them out of it and implant a brand new story with you and dad. And I take you through a 30-minute process of that. But you want to just create a new story with you and your dad that was said, that will tell your mind, oh, actually, dad was amazing. Dad was loving. Dad was kind. Dad was caring. Dad was there for me. And when you're doing it on your own, it's going to take you some practice. When I was doing revision and learning it, it took me months to do it. And I was doing
Meditation
it every day.
alone is difficult. Like
Exactly.
that alone.
Yeah.
That alone is hard. And I think that people don't realize, like, there's this, and I meditate, and I haven't been able to really get to that state that it takes a while for me to relearn that again. And I started getting into it. But when you get in this meditative state where everything is just quiet all around and you can hear yourself think, you're focusing on your breathing, there's something super magnificent about that. There's some kind of, and I've talked about meditation to a lot of people, and they're just like, yeah, dude, that's stupid. Like, who the heck would do that? Like, doesn't make sense to me. But I'm telling you, like, there's something beautiful about having that quiet stillness, because my mind is always going.
Yeah.
Always. And I'm sure Rafa and Candace, you're the same way. Like, you get, we have a lot of things that are going on in our life. We're distracted by phones, by things all the time. And when you quiet your mind in this way that you can actually almost sit in this quietness, it's something that I can't even explain through words.
I want to tap into this really quick, because I've tried meditating in the past, and sometimes I hold through it for a couple days at a time. Sometimes I always fall off. But how does one actually start with meditation? I know we talk about meditating a lot, but I know a lot of people out there really don't even know what it is or how to even get into it. Like, do they just pull up like an app? Like, I use the Headspace app on my phone, and it helps me. Right, starts off with the process, the step by step. But like, how does that process look in order to get into that state of mind, to be able to get to that point of your teaching to change the entire misconception of somebody?
Yeah, so I've actually created 19 guided meditations that I sell on my website. They're 30 minutes long. Half of the time it's guided, the other half it's just like the frequencies, the bells, the tones and stuff to help you then create in your own imagination. I'm all for using guided meditation or meditation frequencies, because for me, that helps me immediately get there. And if I'm short on time, I don't want to sit and lay there and try to force myself. So I'm okay with just putting on my meditation, listening to it, and getting there in 2 minutes. But sometimes I will also sit there and just have nothing around me, make sure my phone's not touching me, and just be still and imagine. So I don't really look at it like you got to clear your head, because the point of meditation is to imagine. Imagination is where the true freedom lies. Tapping into your imaginative state and mastering your imagination, that is where all creation lies. So I don't look at it from the same standpoint that like maybe a monk does, like just pure silence, you're going to be metaphysical, you're going to be in other universes and stuff like that. That's not what I guess resonate with. I'm more about, what do I want in my life? How do I want to create it? How quickly do I want it? How am I going to get it? That's how I process information. So for me, it's putting on a guided meditation that walks me through it, and then it shuts up and lets me do it on my own. So that's why I've created so many meditations for different topics. I have one for body image. I have one for manifesting love. I have one for money, all sorts of things. I have a meditation for like a goddess meditation. I have a king meditation for men. So I'll send those to you guys. I'll send you my money meditation and my king meditation. I think you'll like.
Man, I would love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Let me ask you one last question before we transition here, Jesse. I'm sorry, Candace, I'm gonna ask you the question, not Jesse. But
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna know, so don't ask me.
Jesse's gonna like cut me off and change another question. I'm like, I'm like into this right now. So, okay, if I were to do it by myself, how much longer would it take over going to you? Like, what's the difference? Because you said and you said that you want it fast and you wanted to for this change and this like perception of others and this whole law of like assuming and attracting and manifesting. Like, what's the difference here in terms of speed?
Yeah, it's funny because I have a group on Facebook. I have a VIP group. So I have my free group and then I have a paid group. And a lot of people join my VIP group and they're watching all my videos because I have almost hundreds of videos for people to watch and learn. And they're doing it all on their own. And they're at some point they're like, I really need some extra help. I really want you to take it to the next level. So some people try it on their own and they're successful. But I would say most people in my VIP group have worked with me at least once, who out of all the people who are in my group. So you can get there. I never want to tell you you can't do it without me because that would be me lying to you. Right. You can get there. It might take you, let's say it would take you 6 months versus working with me 5 or 6 times. So, and it's always, can you afford to work with me? Then do it because it's going to get you there way faster. You're going to heal like that versus trying to take yourself through this process and going through it. And I already did all of that. I spent 2 years trying to master all of this and come up with the perfect solution and the quickest, fastest, best, most pain-free way to get you what you want. That's what I pride myself in, is that I'm not putting you through traumatic events. You're seeing it for 30 seconds. You're not living in it like EMDR. It's like you process it and go and go. And it's just like, ooh, so I'm not about that life. It's how can we do it quicker, faster, better, smarter. That's my motto. Smarter, not harder. Love it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Do you ever work with veterans, that were like in war and come back and, because like EMDR.
My husband.
Oh, your husband's a vet? Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for tell him I said thank you for his service if he's listening to this.
I will. And I've helped him do some amazing reprogramming on his childhood. He had a very, very rough childhood. And after one session with me, it took him a couple weeks to realize what was happening. But now he has this amazing, beautiful relationship with his father that he never had before. It was constant anxiety, just feeling like anytime he had to see him. And now they have a wonderful, amazing relationship after one session with me. Like not even 6 times or 7 times like most of my clients do. Yeah. So I would love to get more like in that space. And I have some clients that have extreme trauma that I can't even believe ever happened to them, that have now been healing from it after working with me just a few times. So the brain is so powerful. It allows you, and they're doing the work. I'm guiding them, but they're doing it. So I don't ever want to say, I'm healing you. You're healing yourself. You're curing yourself of this stuff. I'm guiding you and walking you through the steps and, not forcing, but guiding the mind to see it this way. And then they see it and then they create this and this and this. So I'm just kind of like the medium for it.
My dad used to always tell me that the mind is so complex. And he told me that as a child all the time. And I didn't really fully understand that until, like late in my 30s. Like it didn't really process or make sense. But it really is in a lot of ways. I mean, it's so powerful. We look at these computers and all these things coming out, but like our minds are 100% the most powerful thing, like literally in the entire universe, when you think about it in that context. And I think that a lot of times we forget that we have the power to do things. And that's why I really love manifestation so much and mindset, which is, Candace, you could be making a shit ton of money if you were to like do this with business companies and you bring this on, you start having people think about things in a different way.
Yeah.
I hope that you go down that road one of these days and you start talking like businesses, Fortune 500 companies, having meetings with people, talking about things, because it's really empowering in a way that makes sense. for these business entrepreneurs or people that are
Mhm.
growing their businesses to really start thinking. And a lot of times entrepreneurs have that mindset, but there may be roadblocks that are in the way. There may be things that happen that kind of
Totally.
deter those specific things. So, yeah, I think that would be something really cool for
I
you to
would love
do
that.
eventually. I'm sure you're probably going into that at some point. I'm sure that's something you'll work on. But
Well,
I
I've
think
already
it's
created that in my head because I could see myself being, working with Fortune 500 companies and helping their
with Gary
employees,
Vee.
like with Gary Vee. That's right.
There you
Work with
go.
Gary Vee. Like that's definitely something that I plan on meeting him someday and working with him. But working with companies, big companies, and teaching them how to show their employees that they can have their ideal relationship with their boss, with their coworkers, how to handle trauma, stress, pain, all of these things while they're at a job. Well, most people don't want to go to work anymore. Most people
Right.
are over it because they're over the traditional paradigm. So, but these companies still need employees, but they're missing something. They're missing the element
Right.
of connection in humanizing the 9 to
Right.
5. So yeah,
And I
that's
think
what. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things too with companies, 'cause I worked for large corporations, is culture. And I think we don't
Hmm.
really think about that enough. And I think somebody like you would be able to come in and be able to kind of revamp what culture looks like in a company, and doing that through a mental state, doing
Yeah.
it through a level that is unconscious, but also we bring that conscious to a different level. And you're right, you're doing this remote. So I mean, like literally,
Yeah.
Microsoft can have Candace come on and you're just doing a Zoom for them, talking about these certain things because everybody's working remotely. I feel like that's a huge potential possibility, especially as we start evolving through the way culture is working with our
Yeah.
jobs, with our work, because it's always been such a huge issue with any corporate company I've ever worked for. And I would have loved somebody to come in and be like, hey, look, my boss coming in or the owner coming in and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to spend an hour a week with Candace. We're going to talk about company culture. We're going to talk about, certain things, maybe not dive into like childhood or, things like that, but something
Yeah.
that can elevate, the culture of companies. Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really thing. That's something that Gary Vee talks about. It's all about culture, within the organization,
100%. 100%.
and I think that's overlooked a lot of times. So I'm glad we're talking about this right now. Hopefully that's something
Yeah.
that, maybe we'll hire you, Rafa, when we get big one day and we're huge, and then
That's right.
Candace is even bigger. We're just like, hey, Candace, come on in.
I'm
So-
already super interested in your meditations that you brought up. So I'm like looking forward to those things. Like,
Yeah, I will.
for sure.
I'll send those to you guys as a gift because I want
Oh,
you to use
awesome.
them.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
Of
for
Of
sure.
course.
Well, next time you're in LA, Rafa will offer some of his Airbnbs to you to
One of
learn
my
how to
Okay.
make impression.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
mostly not LA, but Jesse
Oh,
loves
yeah.
to mix all of Southern California with Los Angeles.
It's all the same thing to me. Once you get to San Diego, it becomes San Diego, but everything
Right.
else before that is LA, man.
Right.
So, hey, Candace, I know we've asked it like 5 times, right? And we keep going into different subjects. Who is Neville Goddard?
Neville Goddard was the creator, basically, of the law of assumption. He wasn't the creator of it, but he took concepts from Blake, who was a poet back in the 1800s, and studied his work, studied the Bible like you wouldn't believe, and says, the Bible is an autobiography. It is your roadmap for progression into this universe, into this life. And so he is the guy that I've studied. Let me show you his book. So this is called The Complete Reader. This is 10
Oh,
books
that's a
in
big boy.
one.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's 10 books in one. So it's his 10 most popular. You can get this on Audible. The guy who reads it is really good. I love his voice.
Okay.
For like $20 for the
I
whole
love
thing.
Audible books, so I actually have a credit. I'm gonna pick it up after this.
Do it. It will change your life. You will love it.
Okay.
You'll be like, holy crap. He's a little bit hard to understand because he kind of speaks in his writing is more old English kind of style. And that's why I love interpreting it and explaining it for people in my videos on my, TikTok and on my Facebook videos and all that. So people can understand it in modern times. But you will get it if you persist in reading this information. You will get it over time.
I love reading, especially when it comes to things like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'll have to look into that. So we're talking about like Wayne Dyer. He must have studied Neville. Or am I saying that right? Neville. I'm assuming.
Yes, he did. He
In
actually
some
he references him a lot in his work. Wayne did.
Wayne, yeah.
So
yes.
a
I
lot
just
of the
started
big
that.
guys did. A lot of the big guys studied Neville. They all know
Got
who
you.
he is. So
Got you. Did Neville ever get the notoriety?
Yeah, and when he was alive, he used to have like I think it was a radio show that it was either a radio show or a TV show that streamed to like millions of people or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he used to have a pretty well-known name in the metaphysical community, I guess you could say, the spiritual community.
Gotcha.
I gotta ask you, we're coming up on the last 5 minutes here, and I want to talk about your plans for the future, and before we get into that, I came up with the thought about how does this go hand in hand? Because again, our last episode was about goals, and in the spirit of the New Year's coming up here shortly, how does this go hand in hand with goal setting, goal planning, taking action, right? Manifesting and law of attraction, law of assumption, like everything together. How does it all go hand in hand with someone who wants to go, well, I want to put this into practice. I want to put it hand in hand with my goals, my plans. How does that look? What's your suggestion for somebody listening to this that wants to put all this into play?
So obviously have everything written down that you would like to accomplish. Once you have it written down, ask yourself some very important questions. So I have a meditation called Ideal Reality Meditation. That's 30 minutes of asking you these kinds of questions that put you in the mindset of seeing it effortlessly. So ask yourself, what would my life look like if I had XYZ? What would my life look like if I was already a millionaire? What would my life look like if I was the #1 real estate agent or the #1 real estate investor in all of California? What would it look like? And then your brain goes, well, I would have all of these things. I would have all of this notoriety. I would have this freedom. How would it feel? It would feel amazing. I would feel accomplished. I would feel so proud of myself. So it automatically forces the mind to answer the question. And as it's doing that, you can feel it real and say, okay, that's how I need to envision it. You need to envision having all of those things that title or that money will afford. It's not just about the money. It's also about what does that money provide for you? What is it giving to you? Because you could just have money, but still be miserable. So what is the money really providing for you? Is it safety? Is it security? Is it pride in what you did? Like, what is it that you want? So get very clear on why you want it. And then how would it feel if you had it? Visualize that. Feel that real as if it's already done. Practice seeing and doing that under meditation, and know that it's done, and only focus on it already being done. Don't repeat old stories of, well, this happened and this negative thing's happening and I don't think it's going to work and I don't know. And anytime you tell your old negative story, you're affirming what you don't want. So be very mindful of what you are allowing yourself to feel about your situation, and have a good, strong mental diet, and put yourself back on track when you do have, crappy feelings and thoughts about things, and say, wait, no, actually, I may feel depressed right now about this, or I may be worried, but how would it feel if I wasn't? What would I be doing if I didn't have these thoughts and feelings? What would I be doing differently? Get yourself into question mode, because the mind loves questions. The conscious mind loves to answer questions and find the answer to those questions. That is the best and fastest way that I could tell you to do something on a conscious state.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So this is something we ask our guests on here. What was the big break that happened to you? Our show is actually named after the big break. So what was that one thing that happened where it was just like, boom? And I think you might have talked about that earlier in our conversation, where all of a sudden your mind shift. It was the break into what you're doing now. That was that aha moment where you're just like, oh, I get it now. And then that propelled your career or whatever it is that you have going on. What was that one thing that happened?
That was finding Neville. It was finding his work, studying it. My whole mind expanded. My whole life changed. Everything about me changed. I was able to heal. I was able to transform my current situation very quickly, growing a successful company in 18 months, and having the amazing people that follow my work, that my clients, all of this. So I got to give credit to him, to his work, and helping me see myself differently.
Yeah.
I love
Change
it.
your
That's
perspective.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Your
So
mindset.
Yes.
another, I guess we're closing off here on the show here. We're hitting the hour mark. Let me ask you one final question, and then I want you to let the listeners and the viewers know where they can find you. But aside from your big break being Finding Neville, what's something that you can recommend for somebody to learn, apply, and put into action based around this topic, this conversation that we've been having today?
Well, study his work, first of all. Educate yourself. Don't think of, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and hope to get different results. You need to educate. You need to expand your mind and study as much as you can about the law of assumption. Neville's the best place to go for that, in my opinion. There are a couple other people that that teach similar things, like what's his name? Alan Watts, also an old timer, been passed a long time. But basically study the law of assumption, learn it, get what it's about, become a student of this law, because the more you know, the more you can control your life, your outcomes, the things that you create into it, and the people around you. So study, study, study. Follow me if you want me to also break it down for you quicker and easier after you're reading him or at the same time that you're studying him. You know, that's my specialty, is being able to break down his teachings in an understandable way, in a quick way.
And Candace, everybody can jump onto your website. You actually have pre-recorded stuff already laid out for people that actually want to learn these things, and are put in terms where you put them together in like in ways that people can actually understand, right? So somebody
Yes.
can jump onto your pay for a subscription and actually have access to your entire library. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I have several options. I have a bunch of free options because I know not everybody's in the same financial boat. So I have so much free content. Obviously, my TikTok is 1,000 free videos,
Yeah.
but longer videos, my training academy, I have a free training academy that you can join. You can find my website, effortlessmanifesting.com, and then scroll down and you'll see join my free training academy. In there, I have a free course. It's 8 long videos that teach you different topics. And if you say, oh, I need more from you, great. You can join my VIP group, which is only $37 a month, to have access to 130 videos that are 20 to 40 minutes long of me teaching you and helping you get to the next level. You're part of a whole community. We do manifesting and wine night once a month where we all manifest for each other. You get support from the group. It's really the best place on the internet to learn law of assumption and to have a tribe of people that are doing what you're doing to get you to the next level. So that's what I would recommend.
And we're going to put all that info in the show notes too, guys. So that way you guys have all of Candace's information as well. So where's the actual best place where anybody can get a hold of you aside from your website and everything else? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram?
TikTok. Yeah. I mean, TikTok, you can view a lot of my content. It's a little harder to get, like you can't personally message me on TikTok. But you can see all my videos. You can comment. I reply to thousands of comments a week. I'm not kidding you. I'm like always.
Replied to me.
I did. I'm on top of it. So Instagram, you can also message me if you want to talk about working with me. I don't do coaching over chat. However, a lot of people are like, can you please help me with my situation? Yeah, well, you got to go to my Facebook group and post your questions there. And I will answer your questions in my Facebook group. But I don't do coaching over chat. But if you want coaching with me, you can book that on my website. You can message me, effortlessmanifesting.com. So easy.
There you go. And what's your handle for Instagram and TikTok?
Instagram, it's Effortless Manifesting LLC. Now, I had to do that because someone had my name. But there are 2 copycats out there. I have to tell you, I've had so many people come to me that have been giving money to this scam artist.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, very sad. And so do not give money to anyone over Instagram. Okay, don't do it. But mine, you'll see that it's official. I have like 9,000 followers on Instagram. You'll see all of my official videos. There's another one that just copied me that has 7,000 followers. But you scroll and you can see it even has this woman's old photos of her and her kids. So I don't know what.
Can't you report them? And you know what? That's flattery when people are copying you, right, Candace?
Yeah.
That's
yes.
like.
I just
You reached a new level in your career.
Yeah.
Somebody's like literally mimicking you.
Yeah. So yeah, and I've reported them and everyone's reporting them, and just, Instagram is inundated with this kind of
Takes their
stuff. I'm
sweet
assuming.
time.
Yeah.
I see it happen all the time, man. I see it happen all the time. It's kind of crazy that
Yeah.
people do stuff like that.
I
So,
know.
man, okay. So, Candace, I mean, we're here at the top of the hour. I gotta say, I'm so glad you came on and talked with us. This
Thank
was
you.
awesome. Absolutely
Yeah,
awesome.
we
I really wanna
appreciate
thank
you very
for it.
much. I manifested
course.
this, Candace. Like
That's right.
this happened. So yeah, we're extremely excited, and we
Love it.
thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. But we thank you
Thank
so much
you.
and appreciate you. And everybody
you.
listening here, please make sure you follow Candace. Jump under her classes, learn about manifestation. Be careful what you wish for in a lot of terms, right, Candace?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you do
You're
that
gonna
kind of
get
stuff because manifestation is freaking real. I
It
promise
is.
you guys that. So we appreciate you for being here, and thank
you.
you. Have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whatever you have going on. But thanks, Candace.
Yes. Thank you, guys. We'll see you.
All right, take care.